disagree on, but that's, that's why we have contests. And that's, roger that. Okay, now this is sure enough the last question.
Speaking of Ms. Medina, she's made some headway or some waves about property taxes.
Yes, sir.
I know you had a task force a year or two ago about reducing property taxes.
Yep.
Property taxes are still too high.
Well, they are, absolutely, and I'll be the first to tell you. Matter of fact, in 2006, when we were doing that reduction of the property tax rate, and let me go through this because it's a really important instructional thing. I think it's easy to stand up and say taxes are too high. You know what taxes are? I mean, wish I could drive on free roads and still buy 6-cent Coca-Colas, but the fact of the matter is it's a growing state, and people are moving here because we have one of the fairest tax systems. We have the second lowest debt of any state in the nation. You know what your debt is per person in this state? I'm going to take one of you kids too, so just hold on there. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit because you need to be in on this. Our debt in Texas, what Leo and his colleagues and I have signed, your debt by all of the debt that's been accumulated in Texas for every man, woman, and child in Texas is $500. New York is about $3,000. California is about $1,900 per person. Washington, D.C., for every person in America, from the youngest baby that was just born a few seconds ago to the oldest person in Texas, in America, $39,000 each. That's the debt that's been accumulated. You live in a state that understands to live within its means. And one of the ways to do that is to continue to keep pressure down. We decided a long time ago, back in I don't know exactly what the date was, but many decades ago, that we were going to have a property-based system of paying for our governments at the local level and at the state level. And then in the 60s, I think 61, they came in with a sales tax. But under no circumstance were we going to have a personal income tax. And we didn't. The business tax went into place, I think, in the early 90s as a franchise tax. It had a loophole in it big enough to drive a semi-truck through. And if you were paying the franchise tax, you either had a really poor accountant or were just rather giving. If you were paying it, you did it out of the goodness of your heart, or you had a really bad accountant. And so we had to fare that up. We cut that rate to one of the lowest rates in America. We cut it by a factor of 4. And then this last session of the legislature, we raised the threshold of which you even have to pay it up to $1 million. So 40,000 small businesses in this state don't even pay that now. So my point is we have a very broad-based but property-driven system of paying taxes. So one of the things that we did in exchange for the broadening of that business tax was to drive down the property tax rate, of which we cut it from $1.50 down to $1 by a full third. During that debate, I told them, I said, if you do not put downward pressure, caps, whatever you want to devise, on the appraisals, in 3 or 4 years, we're going to wake up and be right back here where we are again. And that's exactly what happened. Now, this last session of the legislature, Leo and his colleagues, they passed 2 very powerful tools to keep the pressure down on that and to keep appraisal districts from charging or from calculating commercial rates on residential property. Yeah, and one of the other things they did that's very powerful and has come into our discussion over the last couple of months was eminent domain. You all voted for, Leo and his colleagues and I supported the eminent domain bill that is now the law in the state of Texas, where private property owners truly have some power. Matter of fact, it is the strongest eminent domain bill in America today. Okay, you're up. Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you for recognizing me. Second of all, I've been
Are
seeing
you 18 yet?
No, I'm
That's all right, come on, dude. You're
I've
gonna be
been
there
seeing a lot
before
of
you know
ads
it.
lately that
Yes, sir.
are anti-riparian.
Yes, sir.
One of them's been over the Trans-Texas corridor.
Yes, sir.
What are you planning on doing?
Okay. I'm not going to do anything about the ad. But it's really interesting. I don't know what part of Trans-Texas corridor is dead the other side doesn't understand. The Trans-Texas corridor is dead. Leo and his colleagues clearly put prohibitions in the legislature, and I signed those. I signed the bills that had those prohibitions in it. So look, here's what's more important. We are a really fast-growing state, and people are coming here because they know they can keep more. Well, people are coming here because they love freedom. They love freedom from being overtaxed, freedom from being overregulated, freedom from being over-litigated. They know that their kids can come here and be educated in as good a public school system, and frankly getting better as the days go by. That's why people are coming here. I mean, we have broken through, and through America, people know there's something special going on in Texas. You pick up a Wall Street Journal, and it talks about Texas as the best place to start a business. Just last week, this magazine called Portfolio picked Texas as a best state to have a small business in. I mean, it's one after another. The Economist has a big story about Texas versus California. It's not even close. People know there's something special coming here. Better than 1,000 a day our rolls, or our population is growing, either by what or being born here or moving in. Over 1,000 a day. You must have a transportation infrastructure system in place to be able to move the products that are going to be manufactured and developed in this state, and the people. I mean, now, out here in Smith County, you may not have the type of traffic jams. If you look at the triangle, that's Dallas up here at the top, that's Houston, that's San Antonio, Austin. 80% of the population in the state of Texas lives in that triangle. And we're approaching 24 plus million people in this state. And 80% of them are in that triangle. You're going to have to build some lanes of traffic there. You're going to have loops and bypasses in Tyler, Texas. And it's one of the reasons that Leo, his colleagues, we sat down, we talked, and since 2003, we have been putting into place transportation infrastructure ideas and concepts to allow for those roads to be built. Some of them were not acceptable. The Trans-Texas corridor was one of them. Look, I will not get up here and tell you every idea I have is a great idea and y'all are all going to love it. You're not. But God forbid we elect a governor who doesn't have a vision and doesn't have a passion for this state. God forbid we elect one that wants to do it the Washington way. I want you, when you get to be my age, to be able to still be able to get around in this state, still be a place where that you can, that freedom is palpable, that it's here, you taste it, you know it. I hope that if nothing else that you all are getting out of what you're seeing today is this powerful gut instinct about being a Texan. That we're about freedom, we're about liberty, and it's worth fighting for. God bless you.